BMA Radio Show with your host, Socrates Garrett and Dr. J. Yes,
Hey, 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 and welcome to another week of BMA Radio Show. How you doing, Sock?
I'm doing just fine. Good to see you, Dr. J. You had a wonderful day.
I did.
Went to a lot of churches today.
I went to about 10.
About 10. I tell you, with online, you get to visit and see and hear a lot more pastors than you normally would. Huh?
Yes, indeed. I can't wait to watch my We Believe TV.
We Believe TV. We Believe TV. Tell our audience a little bit about We Believe, Dr. J.
Look, I was going to ask you the same thing.
Okay.
We Believe TV is a platform for not just local pastors, but pastors all over who want to get their message out to the world. And it's on different platforms. And I'm just excited to have, that opportunity here in Mississippi.
Yeah, let me talk about that a little bit more in terms of We Believe is our own African American owned network. You heard me right. It's an African American owned network. And our goal is to put African American preachers in the spotlight to give them the vehicle to get their message out across the world. Our platform can be seen on several different platforms, Apple and a few others. And so each church will have their own channel. And so the members and guests and visitors will be able to sit in their homes in the evening, on Sunday evening, and pull up messages from their pastor from all times. Also, it will bring live messages as well. So we look forward to getting about 50 pastors to sign up with us initially for 50 channels that are available. And they'll be able to share their words with the world. And they'll be able to control their own data. The tremendous difference between We Believe TV and Facebook and YouTube is that pastors lose control of their data and they're not able to monetize the word in any way. Facebook makes all of the money. We put our talent out on display and people go and watch and see, and Facebook then turns around and sell all the advertising and keep all of the money. They don't do any revenue sharing back with the pastors that are putting the message and the word out there every day. We Believe TV plans on changing that. We plan on having a model that is a revenue sharing model so that the church benefits from the word, from its own content that it's created, and not just give that away. And SRS, many of you saw the commercials that we ran about COVID-19. SRS is the company that have acquired all of the rights, the exclusive rights, to sell the Pro Guardian disinfectant. The product is a 100% safe, 100% biodegradable, safe product that I'm going to ask Charles to talk more about and tell you about its characteristics and how he discovered it and how he acquired the rights, the exclusive rights for that product right here in the marketplace. But again, he brought this opportunity back to Mississippi. And so, Charles, you came in here, and many people have said how much they enjoyed that commercial that we ran and the quality of that commercial. I've had people call me from other TV stations saying, who cut that commercial? Who produced that commercial? How was it done? Well, Charles brought in his team. His producer came out of New Jersey, a young man, R.J. Hopper, that has produced films all over this country. Charles brought that talent in here, and we shot that commercial locally, right here in Mississippi, using Larry Nix, one of the local partners. We didn't go out, we didn't bring African-American people out of New Jersey and then hire white people in Mississippi. He kept that line and that dedication to growing the talent in Mississippi right through that entire process. And I'm happy and proud to be a part of SRS and SGE COVID Solutions, because I think it is the single most important thing that's facing our community today. The challenges that we see today with this virus, we've never seen anything like it before. And I'm home-based, and Charles is all over, so he knows a lot more about it. But I can just say this. I see that Hinds County has ordered additional refrigerated trucks because they don't have any place to put these bodies. I see how serious this is. And if we in the African-American community don't listen, don't pay attention, don't get help, then we got some difficult days ahead. So, you know, without sounding the alarm too bad, I'm going to ask Charles if he'd come in and share with us a little bit about the struggle and the successes that he's having fighting COVID-19.
Appreciate it, Socrates. You know, first of all, just giving the utmost respect to Mr. Evans. You know, had the honor to meet and enjoy and listen to and being in this station. I got chill bumps on me all over, you know, while being, you know, I don't have to say a lot about him. His track record speaks for itself. But I know, you know, he was concerned about his people and the plight of our community. And I think that he spent his life, you know, trying to make a difference in our community. It has been an inspiration to many, including myself. I will tell you that COVID-19 is a game changer. And I called Socrates back in February when nobody was thinking about COVID. So maybe you need to put a mask on, you need to do this, do that. Something's coming that nobody's used to. Unfortunately, you know, that happened. I then went on to explain to him that summer was not going to kill the virus, and that Jackson, Mississippi was on the virus's radar for many scientific reasons, nothing on the whisper of magic, but science and medicine never lies. SRS Inc. is a company I've owned. It's an 18-year-old company. It's probably done over $1 billion in contracts with federal agencies. We've had over 300 contracts with 15 different agencies. Have been very successful in doing those things all over the country. Disaster relief is and solving problems is what what we've been about and what we are about in our everyday lives. And I think it's time to sound the alarm, Socrates. So you don't want to sound the alarm. I'm telling you right now that if as a community, if people don't listen, if we don't get protocols in our life and discipline in our lives, Hines County didn't order nothing trucks. You know, there's no magic about it. You know, if you common sense will tell you that if they told you that summer was going to be the time we're going to get relief, and now we're approaching the fall and the winter, you can only imagine what that's going to be like. But the beauty of that is it doesn't have to be bad at all if we follow protocols and we believe in science. The product that we use is not a product I own or nothing like that. I just was privy enough to own exclusive rights to the only machine in the country that can test a building and give you the results of COVID exactly where it is or not in 90 minutes. And because I had that, we test a lot of products for people because they want to be able to prove that their product will kill COVID-19. And thus far, we tested many products. And the one product that stood out over all of them was ProGuardian. And taking advantage of the moment, I decided to try to buy into ProGuardian or do whatever I need to do to get as many having up on that product. It's an unbelievable product. You know, if you will just read or Google hydrochloric acid, that's really what ProGuardian is. And it's been around since 1858. Is the solution that you put in your eyes when you put on your contact lenses, is the solution that the USDA has approved for organic farmers. It's what they put on fruit to preserve it. It's all natural and totally biodegradable. But you don't have to trust me or believe in me. Do what I do, read, research, and nowadays all you gotta do is Google. And when you Google hydrochloric acid, you can make your own decisions. You know, what do you want to put in your homes, in your children's lungs, often now, because we got to clean more than ever. And I would challenge anybody, and I hope that there are other products, but I would challenge anybody to find one that they research after looking at hydrochloric acid and decide that that's the product that they want to use.
Well, as you mentioned earlier about testing buildings and facilities, and I heard something on Good Morning America. Could you share with us what were they talking about?
Well, Good Morning America, I think it was the day before yesterday, had a whole segment. Strahan, a football player, did a segment on the getting ahead of the virus. The best thing to do is test your building. It was an amazing segment. But even more amazing is that 3 months ago, I told you that the only way to mass test and be effective is to test the facilities. And so we at SRS went out and bought the exclusive rights to the only machine in the world that can test a building and give you the results in 90 minutes with 99.9% accuracy. And, it's a shame that, now our phones are ringing off the hook. It took a football player to explain to America that was the answer, a part of the solution. But, whatever it takes to get it out there is what's important. But it absolutely doesn't surprise me. And, back in February, I brought to you so you could bring to the city the former chief of FEMA. And I wanted you to take him to the city and allow him to use his expertise to help the city, in reimbursements and understanding not only floods and the disaster, but what was coming with this disease. To no avail. Whatever the reason was, I don't know. That's out of my pay grade. I don't deal with your politics in Jackson. But But the other thing that bothered me is right behind that Socrates, I brought a world-renowned scientist and doctor, MD, to the city, for you to take to the councilman or whoever wanted to listen, and to explain how we could beat this virus as a people and as a community. And again, nobody listened. It was to no avail. If you guys don't listen this time, hopefully I'm wrong, but science says that it could be catastrophic. And if we don't start protecting our homes and protecting our own personal publics, Jackson, Mississippi is in a lot of trouble. It is the perfect storm for COVID-19. Most, we deal with high blood pressure, obesity, lack of medicine, lack of medical care. You got all those hospitals in Jackson, and how many black people in Jackson, Mississippi have insurance we can go to. So the virus preys on that opportunity. It preys on the lack of knowledge, which everybody in the city should have by now. But it takes leadership to get that real knowledge out to them. It's free to give knowledge outside. There's no excuse that the people in this city don't understand how to protect themselves. And so I'm just hoping, and praying that some kind of way, because you the man, I follow you. That's why I'm here. I haven't, I've done probably $2 billion worth of work, and I've never bragged or told anybody to the day, all over the country, but I hadn't done any in Jackson, Mississippi. Let me take that back. I did when I first started. I was an 8A company, and a lady named Dr. Glenda Glover was on the airport authority, and I was able to get a job reconstructing, doing some work at the airport because of her. But after that, it was just a tough road to hoe. So I'm hoping that we can find a way, to make people understand this is dead serious. It's a time for people to come together. And if your plan is to buy more refrigerated trucks to put bodies in, your leadership is the worst in history.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, Charles. The city and the county and the school systems and the airport authority, I always call those our economic engines, have a responsibility to make sure that the environment that the employees are living and working in are as safe as can be. Would you say that's a correct statement?
Yeah, that's no question. That's exactly what they should be doing.
Right. And today, we have gotten no calls from either one of those entities concerning what we could do to help them fight, slow down the spread of this virus. And those commercials ran a month, every day, 3 or 4 times a day. And yet we've gotten calls out of Tupelo, out of Natchez, out of Meridian, out of all places all around this city. Could it be that politics trumps good sense? Could it be that it's more of who brings the solution than the value of the solution itself? Can our people be stuck in that bad spot and can't get beyond that?
Well, I mean, Soc, that we are doing work all over the nation. We tested all of the mass testing in New Jersey, most of it in New York City. We're in Denver, Colorado. We do all the athletic fields for all the youth there in the whole state. We're in Charlotte, North Carolina, in multiple school systems. We're in the charter schools in Texas. I can go on and on. And I brought this to Jackson, Mississippi, and you first. And, you know, like I say, the track record speaks for itself. You know, if people are blind to science, then and they have an opportunity to do something to save lives, and they don't, then they're murderers, in my point.
Wow.
As far as I'm concerned, you know, so every day somebody dies. The leadership in this county, in this city, they should be tried for murder.
Wow.
Because it didn't have to be this way. And it's not like it's a economic barrier or they can't afford it. You know, when I came to you and said, hey, it's not going to cost you anything. It's not going to cost. All the city has to do, here's the guy that wrote all the regulations for food.
I believe you're speaking of James Lee Smith.
Yes, my partner in another company or two. And I want you to have this person to say this in the state I'm from. Of course, you know, nobody really listened. You know, but the people in Utah and in Cali and different places, they listen. You know, and so right here at home, you know, back in February, can you imagine where we would be had we just had protocols and things in place back in February? And to this date, as far as I know nobody sent my family anything in the mail saying, hey, this is how you take care of yourself or protect yourself. How much does that cost a stamp? You know, and if you don't have the ability to get that information, then you shouldn't be in office, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not really talking about anybody in particular, but that's a problem. And if you look across this country, the places that are winning the war are the people that deal with science and medicine.
Yeah.
They don't take it personally. You know, our products, the Army Corps of Engineers use our products. You know, USDA, Department of Agriculture. I mean, it's nothing personal. CDC and themselves use our products. You know, so but sometimes, to finish your question, sometimes we are blind. You know, our politics gets in the way. But when it comes to saving lives, I don't think politics is very relevant.
Well, let's talk about a couple of things for me. One is that citizens have to save themselves. And so when leadership fails in that regard, the citizens still can abdicate their responsibility to save themselves. And so what is it that we can do for the average citizen to protect them in their homes?
Well, the main thing is education. You know, first of all, viruses are not God. They are very predictable. They're easy to find, and they're easy to fight. You know, so if you understand how viruses travel, you should keep them from traveling in your house. And we know that in science, they travel with the 5 F's. And that's fingers, food, feet, mica, and flies. You know, so if you're your own residence, you know, you should, first of all, make sure it doesn't come in on your feet. You know, they say that, you know, they got you doing this, what they call 6 feet distancing or whatever that is. I haven't seen it in any science book where that was relevant. You know, viruses travel for a mile and they for surely go 30 feet and be infected. Viruses can travel thousands of miles if it gets on a truck in a box and goes to Walmart and then goes to your house. You know, so, you know, you got to understand how to keep that virus out of your house. You know, there was also
it's possibility now that the struggle will be that the federal government will take their funding from them if they don't open these schools, and that those dollars will follow children if they'll go to charter schools or private schools and things of that nature, which will continue to erode and just devastate our inner school system. So I don't know if it's the right thing for kids to go back to school or not, but it seems as to me that there's a rock and a hard spot here right around the corner.
Well, actually, it's not in my opinion. And if you look at science and really common sense, the schools don't have viruses in them. Again, they come from home. And so what you're saying is that we're going to leave the virus at people's houses, let kids go up and down the road, play, do everything, just continue to spread it without no indication that there's some serious happening until a lot of people die. My honest opinion is that, we're not China, so we can't force people to stay inside. We can't lock them up if they don't do what the government says. We need to have people going to as many public places that we can set the places up to be prepared to give us indications if that virus is in our communities. And so I think that schools are one of the safest places. A school that is set up correctly, that understands the do's and don'ts of the virus, they can play a bigger role in getting rid of this virus than any other institution we have. But if kids are at home, number one, especially socially disadvantaged kids, education is out the window. Number one. Number two, they are not in an environment that is controlled. And to control the virus, you have to control the environment. And so we can control the school environment. We have good leadership. I was a principal for many years, an assistant superintendent, and nothing made me more comfortable than when every kid got off the bus and they were in my building, because I knew that they were safe leaving. You worry about accidents on the bus or people fighting, but once they got to me, I was good. And so if you or the world truly believes that they can provide a safer environment out in the neighborhoods, then we can provide it in a school building under good leadership and good protocols. Then I don't know where they're coming with that.
Oh, okay, all right, interesting. I understand that you've hired some of the top scientists in the country. Being a Black man, it's hard. It's hard to establish the credibility that you need in your own community with Black folk. Sometimes it's easier to do it in the white community. But I believe that you've gone out and hired the top scientists in the country and even some folk from CDC. You want to share with our listening audience a little bit about the competency level of your staff?
Well, we have unbelievable doctors and scientists that are full-time for SRS. One of the top virologists in the world is a guy by the name of Dr. Rowland. And there's not a degree that this guy doesn't have, but more importantly, he's been fighting that virus and different viruses in the jungles of Peru and everywhere else, that wherever he could find them, he lives to go fight viruses. This guy speaks to probably 1 million people every 10 days, literally, from podcasts, radio stations, TV stations. He is the real deal. We also have a young man that was the leading physician when the virus first broke out. He was the guy that was in charge of LAX, disease control at the time. We have another doctor that is the only, I'm not going to say the only, but he owns a hospital in Houston, Texas. Really sharp, tough guy, knows the ropes and understands. And we have hygienists and other scientists. And, being from Tougaloo, I'm not that bad myself. But, we have everything it takes. And as strong and as solid as those people are, you don't have to look at color or look at degrees. You just look at the science. Everything that we have is backed by science and medicine. And, what's really hurting this country right now is there's a lot of voodoo, in my opinion, going on. People want to spray buildings. You're spraying these buildings with toxic stuff that who knows, you'll be growing ears and everything in the next few years. But nobody's testing it. They're doing a lot of disinfecting, but they're not testing behind the disinfectant. I would challenge, any customer, anybody that is disinfecting their business or homes, to just ask the people, how do I know the virus is gone? I don't know the one way to do that. You got to test it and see. And I can tell you from experience, or you can just Google and find out that multiple disinfectants that are on the EPA list have not been proven to kill the virus. They failed the test. So testing is critical. They say believe but verify. Hey, great, you're a great company, I love you, but come on here and show me. If these companies don't have, communicable disease insurance, you got to ask your question. You got to find out why not. Do they not have the expertise to get it? Do they not have the business savvy to make sure they have those kind of things? It's time to get real. And it's time to stop believing anything everybody tells you. You got to find out for yourself. And the science and facts will tell you that, and it will dictate this virus. If we'll just take our time and pay attention to the facts.
Well, Charles, you back in February, you called me and admonished me about wearing a mask and how serious this thing was going to be. And you also indicated that flu season, when it arrives, it just compounds the issue for the elderly and the poor. And so we got some difficult times ahead of us if we don't do the right things now. But I want you to speak a little bit. I saw a commercial this morning where the Red Cross is now saying they're testing for the virus. If you will donate blood, they will test you for COVID-19. Now that departs significantly from the swab process that everybody has seen, with you sticking swabs up your nose and blah, 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 and waiting 6-7 days for results to come back to see whether or not you're positive. But you had mentioned to me some time back that there was new technology out there for human testing that you were aggressively pursuing and hoping to have the rights to that equipment. Can you, at a point where you can speak to that?
Yeah, it's an APIS test. It's a 10-minute test that it's a finger prick and it's 97% accurate. The problem with the swab test, number one, you got people, in line with people sticking some up your nose inside of a car, and they could very easily miss the membrane or the right place to try to find that virus. And so that test is not very accurate, and all you got to do is just do the research. Look at the science, how accurate are the tests. And so the other problem is that people are finding it hard to get their results back in time. And that's pretty critical, because every day that you don't know you have it, if you're a super spreader or something, you are spreading it to multiple people. So this deal is time sensitive. Every minute can save a life, literally. No different than the building test. There are people that test buildings, but you get the results back 6 days, whatever it is. But by then, it's trouble. So that test is absolutely the best, in my opinion, as far as saving lives. We get out the politics of it. And I can tell you, I've been out there, there are a lot of tests coming. There's one they're trying to design that you can go get off the shelf and give it to yourself in 10 minutes. So testing is absolutely critical. And we have the ability to do that testing. But I'll say again that when it comes to mass testing, the United States of America, testing people is not the answer. You can I can go into my hometown of Edelia and test everybody there. And the next day somebody comes with the virus and everybody's sick. And no indication, nobody's gonna retest, nobody wants to keep getting tested, stuff stuck up their nose. But I also go to Edelia and I can test the grocery store, I can test the dollar store, I can test where they go pay their light bill. I can take 2 or 3 tests of that building, maybe 4, depending on the size. And I can know if that virus is in that community. And at that point, you make, conscious decisions to do something about it.
Well, I want to stop for a moment. And I wanted to say to the citizens of Jackson, to the listening audience, we got to save ourselves. We got to fix our own problems. We got to lead. Jacksonians and Black folk in particular are the brightest people I've met anywhere in the world. As difficult as it has been growing up in Mississippi, we still produce the best minds, the most innovative people that you ever meet. I was in Los Angeles, California in 1969, and Tom Bradley, black man from Mississippi, was mayor. Move over to Washington, D.C., Charles Berry, black man from Edelia, Indianola, was mayor. Edelia. Yeah. And we continue to produce great minds. But too often, those minds don't get back to Mississippi. And we gotta change that. And Black folk, the listening audience, you got a lot to do with that. You gotta support solid, strong, competent leadership. You can't get involved in cliques. You can't get involved in pettiness. You can't get involved in those kinds of things that elevate and secure and provide safety for your families. We got to rise above that now. We got to put all that behind us. Charles spoke about Charles Evers. And I just want to say, as I called into the radio show, the Keith Stamp Show, Charles Evers was a giant of a man. He was a giant of a man because he stood on principle, his principles, not yours, but he stood on his principles, and he was not afraid. Our leaders now are afraid. They don't want to stand up, and that's why you don't see them calling press conferences. You don't see them talking about the situation that we're in. Nobody says anything. 46 people contracted the virus in the House of Representatives, and nobody says anything about what we need to do to protect our people. Now you got a young man here that's back in Mississippi, from Mississippi, concerned that the African American community is disproportionately affected. And he told you why. Because we have all these underlying conditions: hypertension, diabetes, obesity. We've got all of these other issues, and the virus comes in here and preys on our people. So I want this telephone to start ringing, that website phone to start ringing. I want our school superintendents throughout this entire state of Mississippi, in Hinds County, Jackson Public Schools, Clinton schools, Madison schools. Most of y'all got African American leadership. The superintendent of schools in Madison, Mississippi is African American lady. Hinds County is African American lady. Jackson Public Schools are African American gentlemen. I need to hear from y'all. I need y'all to reach out and say that you want the latest technology. You want to do all that you can to protect our children. We want to share with you our protocols for school buses. What you need to do in the school bus that the kids are riding on, how it needs to be treated, and what needs to be done. You got to go outside of your own community to get answers to things. What are they doing in other parts of the world? How is it that New York City got a handle on what was happening to them with the virus, and the virus has exploded in California, Los Angeles? What is the difference? How is it they got it under control in China and we don't have it under control in Jackson? And so I want you, African-American community, to start reaching out, African-American leadership. Step up, step out, do it in the name of Charles Evans and Nigger and Martin. Do it in the name of all the great leaders that have given their life for try to better this community. Help turn our community, our city, and our state around. Charles, it's always good seeing you. We got a lot of hard work to do, and I know that on your schedule, you just came back in here from where did you just come from?
Last week we were in North Carolina, Denver, Colorado, Chicago, and Dallas.
Wow. And primarily you were focusing on creating opportunities, businesses in the African-American communities, on your franchisees that are out there. Where are you looking to sign those up?
Well, I'm looking to sign them up in strategic areas where we can cover the nation. And so far, we have 16 franchises that we've set up under SRS, all currently African-American owned. We like to have another 30 to 35 to make sure that we're covering the nation. But so far, we've been moving in areas where we've already worked or have had past performance or experience. We just set up one in North Carolina where during the tornadoes that hit there some time back, I think we did maybe $250 million for the school systems there. And so I think that was Guilford County School, they called us and asked us to come and help them with the COVID. And just mostly places where we have a track record and had experience and knowledge to try to help.
Wow. And is it by design that all 16 of them are African Americans, or how is that happening like that?
Well, to be honest with you, it's happening like that because that's what I prefer. I feel like, that time has changed and we've compromised enough and I have qualified. You look on our webpage, everybody looks like me. Everybody has tremendous. We have 200 years of experience in our management, and I think that we have to build an army of people to protect not just our people but everybody. We have an innate or ability to forgive and forget, and that allows us to help not just us but everyone. And at this time of need and the situation we're in, I just feel like we're better served as a company to focus in this socially disadvantaged areas. Hope that everybody else can jump on the bandwagon, but that's our mission and our mission only. And let me just say this, I can afford to do that.
That's a good thing. If you can't afford it, you certainly can't get it done, that's for sure. Well, talk to me a little bit about the fact that you got to, this will be my last question, Dr. J. Charles. Talk to me about how do we train other African Americans, especially those custodians out there, and to make this thing affordable for institutions, churches, etc. How do we create more people that understand how to fight this virus?
Well, the first thing is we bring in the experts to do the training, and what's going to kill small businesses, especially here in the fall. And I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm just going by history and science, is that everybody comes in that building with a cold they're gonna think they got COVID, and instantly you got to shut down, find somebody to come spray, blah blah blah. But if you use your current staff and train them now, we got to get proactive, not reactive, and train those people now on how to clean and disinfect properly for the virus. You don't have to shut down. It doesn't become something that's on the news. It's not that critical. Somebody comes in, they coughing or they had the virus, you come in, you clean it. You should get it tested after that, and keep it moving, never shut down. But small businesses, and I've had a lot of, they just can't afford to keep shutting down, opening up, shutting down. That's just another, opportunity for disaster as far as businesses are concerned.
So you train those people and give them certificates that they've been trained by?
Mm-hmm. We train them. We have a guy that is qualified and certified to recertify or certify people on cleaning and disinfecting as it pertains to specifically COVID-19 and it's a 2-day training. Some of it's online, some of it's classroom training, and the rest is on the job kind of training. But once those people have gone through that, there's no reason for anybody else to come in and clean that facility. Right now, we're kind of like in the honeymoon stage. Everybody calling all the companies to come clean. We get calls all the time. Mm-hmm. Come clean, but at the end of the day, you can clean that building today and tomorrow you can have COVID in it. And you can't keep paying that over and over again. You got to train your people. It's actually easier to train to clean for the virus, and it's cheaper. But you got to get the training.
So, listening audience, we are hiring, recruiting people now. We need people to be trained so that they can go out and clean these properties and help us train other folk. So call us at the numbers on our website, SGE COVID Solutions, and give us a call. We need you. We want to train you. We want to help you. We want to hire you. We want our community to be as good as it possibly can be. Charles, thank you so much for sharing with us. I don't know how long you're going to be in town, but if you're here next week, we'd love for you to come back and share with us again. Dr. J, you got any final parting words?
We thank you all for sharing that information. We definitely need your services. For the last 5 days, the cases have been over 1,000 cases the last 5 days, and a lot of young people are the rising cases. So thank you all so much for the work that you all doing. Definitely give them a call, you guys, so that you all can keep your facilities and homes protected. So thank you all for listening to BMA Radio Show, and we will catch you all next week.
When it comes to the best biosecurity and biosafety protocols to help your business thrive during these challenging times of face masks, viruses, and gloves, schools, businesses, sports arenas, hotels, and even churches are turning to America's top COVID-19 experts.
Providing is a solution that has the ability to change the way we fight COVID-19.
Hi, I'm Socrates Garrett, Chief Operating Officer for SRS Inc., the single source solution for biosecurity protocols. SRS will ensure that your business does not shut down.
What separates SRS from other companies? We understand that if you control your environment, you control the spread of COVID-19.
SRS, the one source solution.